Very good morning, everyone. Can you hear me once again? I want to know if you are able to hear me.
Yes, sir. Good
Yeah,
morning.
good morning, Group Captain Anand.
Thank you very much for joining on this Saturday morning. Very important topic that we will be discussing. First of all, this unknown thing that is likely to be discussed today because it's unknown in many ways. Secondly, we have some of the top cybersecurity leaders and the scholars who are going to discuss and put across certain viewpoints, especially the perspectives, which are likely to be impacting different segments, different sectors, including the government. Very important for us to know as to what we have to brace up for. That's very important aspect that we would hopefully have as a takeaway. Thank you all very much for joining from across the globe. I can see a lot of participants from abroad as well, not only India. Yes, this topic is definitely of interest to all of us. When the AI started coming, maybe around 20, 25 years back, when people started talking about it, and 10 years back when people were voicing concern about loss of jobs and how things may change, it was all conjectures. And the reality is still not comprehended by most of the people. And when I say most of the people, it is including those people who are working in creating the LLMs and the AI tools and the works. Even they did never imagine that things will take this turn, and possibly they are wondering whether they are creating systems and platforms which can be controlled by them at all. That is the situation today, and we will be discussing one of that, where there is an end-to-end solution that is available to an attacker. Of course, for defending it is available, but when it is available to an attacker, then things are definitely different. Very, very interesting name it has, Mythos. The Mythos. I was just trying to search what it means, and very coincidental, I call my daughter Mythos because she is Maitreyi. So uh, you know in short, we do that. And when I searched now, it talks about what we believe is true, whether it is actually true or not. And it turns out that they have found very, very apt name for this product that they have created. Very apt in terms of how it is actually not real but real. The opposite of it is, or not exactly the opposite, but maybe antonym, is logos, where you have a verified fact or verified truth. We keep using this word logos in our symbols and our copyrights and all that, trademarks. So logos is after verification, mythos is not after verification, and that's how over a period of time it has taken, like myth, not true is what the sense is actually. Is it true or not is something which even the creators of these platforms are not able to decide, because it's doing some things which are unimaginable. That's where we are. We have curated a nice panel of experts. We have speakers from the government. We have speakers from the BFSI sector, from the healthcare sector, of course governance, because without governance nothing moves, and that is the biggest area which is facing challenges of these platforms. So we have governance professionals. We also have people speaking on how to defend from the unknown, creating the architecture, and of course the new software development life cycle post the mythos. And then we will have someone speak on the legal and the ethical issues, not the moral issues, because we cannot go that side. It's very, very difficult. that is the flow of events that we will have in terms of who are going to speak. uh, in the first segment we will have the government and the governance parts coming, and then the healthcare sector, the BFSI sector, sector specific, very critical sectors which are going to have direct impact, immediate impact, um, and that will impact all of us in any case. That's why they are priority. Then, of course, how to defend. Then we will go for the SDLC and the other legal element. To begin with, we have Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das. He is supposed to come and speak to us. Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das is a very senior civil servant, special secretary to the government of West Bengal. He, despite being an administrative officer, has specialized in cybersecurity, has undergone multiple certifications in cybersecurity, been part of the central government as well as the state government cybersecurity initiatives, received multiple awards. He has also been CMD of the WEBEL, West Bengal Electronics. He is the state information security officer for a long time. He is also handling as special secretary IT and other departments there. A national cybersecurity scholar from the first cohort of the NCSSP, very well regarded cybersecurity techno manager. So we were supposed to have him speak to us. Unfortunately, because of the situation in Bengal, all the senior officers have been summoned right now as we speak. He's attending an address by the governor, I'm told. So that's why he's not able to join us and speak, but he has shared his thoughts to be put across. He has requested Wing Commander Venugopal to convey his thoughts and perspectives on how the government is going to be impacted and what are possible ways that the governments across the world maybe can do to fend themselves. So I now request Wing Commander Venugopal to please convey what Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das has asked him to convey. Thank you very much, Venu. Thank you all once again. Over to Wing Commander Venugopal.
Good morning, sir, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity on behalf of Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das and him for allowing this to happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk of Mythos, Naidu sir has already mentioned about the Greek tradition of myth, right, or mythology. It's a god of myth or mythology, what you can say in mythology. But in artificial intelligence, AI, is this a myth? Not anymore. So, what is happening? Is the government taking any action? Why is the government, the finance minister of the country, taking such a high level meeting on the impact of Mythos? Why is there so much of urgency being displayed by MeitY, that is the Ministry of Information Technology, and the certain to address the Mythos impact? Well, that's what we're going to see, the perspective from the government sector. Good morning to all of you, distinguished scholars, cybersecurity leaders, public policy practitioners. Today, when we speak of the Mythos threat, we are not describing another incremental development in cybersecurity. We are confronting a fundamental rupture in the nature of sovereign risk itself. For decades, governments have built their defenses on one fundamental assumption, that adversaries are constrained by time, effort, and human capacity. That assumption has been permanently overtaken by the events. And that government can make regulations to secure the cybersecurity as well as being done earlier. The question now before us is no longer merely technical. It is constitutional. It is about whether the modern state, its institutions, its infrastructure, the obligations it has to its citizens, do they remain defensible when the adversary operates at such unimaginable speeds, at such an unlimited scale, and with capacities that until very recently belonged in a small measure to nation state intelligence services? Let me be direct about what the governments will face. It is definitely a war. It's a war on data. For governments, the data is sovereignty. A bank that is breached loses money and its reputation. A government that is breached may lose sovereignty. 5 challenges that define the Mythos era for governments, especially, are what I'm going to cover. Firstly, the exploitation timeline has collapsed. The window between vulnerability discovery and active exploitation, within which governments traditionally patched, coordinated, and responded. This has effectively closed. Government procurement cycles and interagency approval processes were never designed for this tempo. They must now be fundamentally reimagined. Secondly, the attack surface has become totally invisible. Governments operate through vast ecosystems of vendors, legacy platforms, contractors, and interagency arrangements. Mythos era adversaries do not attack the fortress. They attack the basic supply chain that built it. The most critical vulnerabilities will increasingly reside in systems governments do not even directly control. Thirdly, offensive capability has been democratized. The Mythos class AI tools will proliferate. Credible estimates suggest within 12 to 18 months, placing nation-state grade offensive power within reach of non-state actors and organized criminal groups. Threat models built around a small number of sophisticated adversaries will now need to expand dramatically. Fourthly, and most politically difficult, is the gap of the governance. Our legislative frameworks, procurement rules, and international cooperation mechanisms were designed for a totally different era. They assumed that human speed, decision making, and the defined jurisdictions along with it. In the Mythos era, the incident may be over before even the government mechanism has even convened. Lastly, there is a war, definitely, and everyone is compelled to fight to fend the cyber assets. At the same time, the nature of wars being fought by the armies will not be the same. Each individual attacker can cause colossal losses. So, what should be the strategic response and what should it look like? 4 imperatives should stand above all the others. The first is the shift from compliance to continuous assurance. The annual audit model is structurally inadequate. Certification provides a snapshot. The Mythos era demands a motion picture. Governments must transition to architectures of continuous validation where controls are tested in real time, not reviewed periodically as it used to be. This is not merely a technical change, it is a change in how government accounts for the risk to its citizens. Secondly, it is the elevation of cyber resilience to the national security doctrine. Cybersecurity has too long been treated as another IT department concern. It must now sit alongside defense policy, foreign policy, and also economic policy simultaneously. Heads of government must be briefed on cyber posture the way they are briefed on military readiness. The chief information security officer of a government must carry the same institutional authority as the heads of other national security agencies. The third is international coordination. Before the crisis, not during it. The Mythos era is inherently borderless. No government, however capable, can patch the global attack surface alone. What is required is a new architecture of real-time threat intelligence, sharing, coordinated vulnerability disclosure, and pre-agreed mutual assistance protocols. This model is not bilateral defense treaties. The model is the international financial stability architecture built after 2008, a recognition that systemic risk demands systemic governance. The fourth will be the creation of cyber warriors in every capable body. This is very essential as the human remains the weakest link in the chain of cyber resilience. It is here that the projects like the National Security Database and the NSD Scholars play a very vital role. I definitely compliment ISAC Foundation for creating and managing such platforms. To conclude, I would say that the Mythos era does not call for alarm. It calls for strategic honesty. Governments that treat cybersecurity as a technical problem to be managed within existing structures will find that position increasingly is untenable. What is required is a reorientation from the periodic compliance to continuous assurance, from a siloed IT security to integrated national security, and from domestic frameworks to internationally coordinated governance. The adversary does not respect the jurisdictional boundaries or bureaucratic hierarchies. Government strategy, therefore, must match that reality with corresponding speed and decisiveness. In this new Mythos era, the resilience of the state will be measured not by the controls it has in its place, but by the speed at which it detects, responds, and recovers when those controls are being tested. The government, therefore, must detect and not discover. Thank you very much.
We thank
I finished.
Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das for that excellent perspective that he has given of what is the state of the policy making and regulatory making today, and what needs to be done in government, and how the governments can protect vast mass of data that the government sits on. Obviously, yes, the sovereignty can be at risk in case if the breach happens, and with such kind of situation that is prevailing, a single attacker can cause a huge damage. Thank you very much, Venkamanda Venugopal, for conveying what Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das wanted to. Coming to the next, we have a governance specialist, an AI governance specialist. He is presently the principal architect of global security architecture practice in Palo Alto. Earlier, he was with the Zscaler, a doctorate in cybersecurity, very accomplished cybersecurity professional, worked in some fantastic organizations before moving on to uh, the Palo Alto. We have Dr. Ganesh Nagaraj with us. He would be speaking about governance and how the governance gaps can be really dangerous, catastrophic for the organizations. So may I request Dr. Ganesh Nagaraj to please speak on this topic.
Sure, absolutely. Venugopal sir, it was a fantastic narrative from a government perspective. So when we discuss about mythos today, most conversations will focus on one fundamental shift, right? Which is the time between a vulnerability discovery and its exploitation is collapsing dramatically. That's a fundamental shift which we have been observing because of mythos. Earlier, the organizations, when we used to look at it, right? So we had ample amount of time to respond within a day, sometimes a week, to discovering a vulnerability, giving a time for the team to patch and respond to it. But because of this Mythos era coming in, not just Mythos and any other AI frontier models coming in, discovery to exploitation, the time is reduced. That's the fundamental shift which you're talking about. But I believe the bigger problem is not just the fast attack. The real problem is the business impact, which is going to happen faster than the organization can understand, digest, and govern it. That's the biggest problem, according to me. Because two reasons. One, basically, the attacks because of mythos coming in is going to operate at a machine speed. And most of the organization where we have been into the consulting engagements, um, still I see the tools are siloed, the visibility is fragmented, and operational processes are not interconnected, which creates a desperate mismatch between the attacker speed and the way the organizations are governing the cyber attack today. So I think the first major challenge in this mythos era is the collapse of the time gap between an exposure, exploitation, which we agree, but I would definitely add the business impact to it. We'll speak about in that also as well. The second issue, according to me, is how organizations still view cyber risk. While first part was on the attack, so let's come to the internal organization and see how we see cyber risk today. Traditional security model, we focused on securing the systems, the underlying infrastructures, the identity, malware, and all this, right? Which we thought it's best security to have, because the assumption was if I'm able to secure the systems, my business is secure. This is the assumption, right? But the way organizations are moving, I would call them the AI powered enterprises because most of the enterprises today are consuming AI in one or the other form for business reasons. Either it could be some business decision making, which I see seriously all customers are adopting to it, some automation of workflows, some approvals. So AI is become the necessity part of the business process now. So which means the target today is not just the infrastructure, but the target is the business operations itself. Conversation of cybersecurity, talking about system protection, which we used to do so long, to the business resilience. That should be the conversation now. Because all the organizations, including the best of the breed consumers of the technology, today measure the cyber risk technically. So when I say technically, for example, when we do some risk scanning, we find CVSS score, then we talk about an alert, vulnerability counts, IOCs, all these are security aspects for an organization. But because of the AI adoption in the business itself, the leader's expectation is slightly different. So when we go ahead and report, hey, I found a CVSS of 9 in an application, which we used to do, but the question now comes back and to the team or the security leaders is, hey, is it going to impact any of my financial exposure? Right. One. Second, is there any trust issue between my customer? Is there a risk? And holistically, does this vulnerability create an issue from a business context to me? This is where the disconnect exists today. Because while the attackers are going to adopt AI and compromise or trying to exploit, the way internally within the organizations of enterprise, we interpret the attacks at a human speed and the governance model, which we have set at a traditional way. So the second major challenge is the gap between the technical security visibility, which we used to do traditionally, and the measurable business impact to it. Right? This is the second gap which we have been saying. Given the scenario, all the gaps exist today. So let's discuss how should the organization respond to this, which is critical. So I believe the enterprises need three major shifts in their cybersecurity strategy. First and very important thing is move from a standard vulnerability management program to a real-time risk prioritization. Because not every vulnerability which an organization identifies is linked to a business impact. Right? Most of the research says if you identify some 100 vulnerabilities, maybe possibility of an exploit is 6 or 7. That exploit connecting to a business could be 1 or 2. So let's not waste time in looking for the vulnerabilities which doesn't make any context to the business. So the program should shift from a vulnerability management to risk prioritization. That's a fundamental shift which is required to manage this kind of a model-based scanning and attacks which is coming in. Second is the security teams should translate the cyber events into a measurable business impact. Could be financial, operational, or reputational risk as per the organization. Because if cyber risk is not measured in business terms, leadership can't act on it effectively. So no point in saying, hey, it's CVSS 9 and hey, business, come and guide me what I need to do. That is not going to be the way forward. Third, and the another important aspect is the organization need a governance which is also scaled at a mission speed. So we can't respond to an attack which is at a machine speed using a governance model which is designed and making a decision based on the human level of speed. So classic example, let's say assume any organization, let's say financial company who is using AI models for approving the loans, which is happening today. In the morning, vulnerability is discovered, and assuming it's a better tool, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the exploitation happens. The workflows are manipulated, and the high risk loan approvals, which are in the process, are bypassed because of this manipulation which is happening, and the customers are already bypassed. This is a classic attack which could happen or which already is happening. Internally, if this attack is happening from a security perspective, we are still discussing, hey, because what vulnerability exists, who exploited it, and still debating what's happening, who the owner is. And this is the governance model which we're talking about, right? Because the business impact starts long before an organization completes the technical assessment. So there should be some way of contextualizing both. So to summarize, I would say there are three things that you wanted to leave the audience as a thoughts. First is Mythos is collapsing the time between exposure and business impact. Definitely, I need to add the business impact here. Second is the technical security visibility is not no longer enough. So bringing the business context to it, any technical alert should have a business context so that the informed decision is made by the management. Third is the enterprise, right? So basically, future-ready enterprises, which are so-called the AI-absorbed enterprises, should develop the risk and governance framework, which is also at a mission speed with a lot of automations coming in. Because in the age of talking about some 10 to 20 minutes time of an exploits, the real challenge is whether an attack happens, right? Obviously, that's a given. But it's whether an enterprise can govern this business impact before the whole damage happens to an organization and becomes irreversible. Yeah, that's my thought process around it. Thank you, Naidu sir. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Ganesh. I think the governance element, giving examples how it will be impacting, on a daily basis or a routine basis, nicely explained. Thank you very much for that. We would possibly have some questions to you subsequently. So maybe some more points can be possibly explained by you during the question answer session. Thank you very much, Ganesh, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this symposium will be converted, the outcomes will be converted into a white paper and will be submitted to the CERT, the Government of India, the CERTIN, as we are collaborating with CERTIN on cybersecurity capacity building. So I just wanted to inform you so that whatever questions you ask have possibly larger implications in terms of reflection in the white paper. Thank you, Ganesh, for that. Now we move to sector specific speakers. We have lined up one, the healthcare sector, and then the BFSS sector, because we understand that these are the two most important sectors that impact all of us, every one of us, irrespective of where we are and what we are doing, whether it's in India or abroad. That's why we thought we will include these two sectors to begin with. Subsequently, if we have some other symposium, we will have other sectors as well. Not that the other sectors are not important, but these two sectors are very well regulated. But even those regulations are not going to be of much significance to us. That is our problem. So that's where we wanted to have a perspective from the healthcare sector first. For that, we have Miss Yesapati Sivani. I once asked her, how is it that you, in this age when people are jumping jobs every 2 months, in fact, there are kids who bargain with one company to get hike and then go to the next company before joining that company. She's one person who has been in one company for 20 years, growing and doing nice job there. She is director cybersecurity there, GE Healthcare. 20 years is a long time to work. That shows how uh, almost indispensable she has become for that company. Not that any one of us is indispensable, but I appreciate her that particular quality. obviously she has something more to give to the company. That's why she is presently director leading the product security, and a large number of people working under her as teams. She is very highly qualified, of course, a national cybersecurity scholar from NSD, ISAC as well. She is trained in cyber law. Multiple roles she has performed, and that brings the perspective uh, where she will be hopefully able to tell us as to what is the problem that is perceived for the healthcare sector from the Mythos, and how possibly we can address those potential problems. With that, may I request Shivani to please speak?
Yeah, thank you, sir. That was a lovely introduction. Yeah, I stayed in GE Healthcare for almost 20 years, and it's a sense of belonging when you work for patient safety in healthcare sector, because at the end of the day, it could be me or my family member on that equipment getting some scans done. But that has a huge purpose, and all of us seek that purpose in our life, right? And I got my purpose when I worked in different roles in the healthcare sector. So I'm Shivani. I've been with GE Healthcare for almost 20 years now, with security for almost 9 years now. And today I'm here to give my perspective with what I have learned so far on how healthcare sector is going to evolve with Mythos and Project Glasswing as we speak. The previous speakers have already spoken a lot, and there is a lot of overlap with what's happening in healthcare sector with other things as well. Venugopal sir and Nagraj sir have covered a lot with governance and how Mythos is going to bring in bring in the need for a continuous monitoring, quick response, more kind of uh, that ethics in your business, the need for ethics in the business. So before I even talk about healthcare sector, first of all, I think what Anthropic has done deserves some kudos. They have followed the real AI ethics and governance, and kind of did not go and release Mythos for everyone. They started this Project Glasswing. They have partnered with some good partners, and they're saying that we'll go slow and we'll kind of figure out how to regulate and how to roll it out, and with whatever that company is known for. But this particular thing that they have done, I think it is a good thing that they have done. Now coming to healthcare sector is very, very unique in terms of how we respond to cybersecurity, right? So patient safety and patient health information are kind of, any patient health information is sold in the black market at 10 times the price of a financial data, because patient health information cannot be changed. You can go ahead and cancel your credit card, you can go ahead and change your account number, you can go ahead and do whatever you want with your financial data after certain loss, but you cannot change your health parameters, you cannot change your own biological parameters, right? That can get leaked, and then there could be problems. And that's why healthcare sector is the favorite for attackers. But given the high regulation in which healthcare operates, like in a hospital, in a very controlled environment, it was very difficult for an attacker to get in. So healthcare was always in this cozy space until late 2000, early 2010, when we were not that prone to attacks like the financial sector and others, right? But then as people started realizing the impact of attack on a healthcare sector and how much money an attacker can make, how a nation sponsored attack can cripple the other nation, things have changed and changed dramatically, and healthcare has become the favorites for cyber actors. But then we are not behind. We are continuously chasing them, if not leading, and kind of securing our systems with multiple things. But then after COVID, when this digital revolution came, the care sector, health sector in itself has gone through a revolution where remote care, home health, and all of those have become an acceptable care terminologies, right? Earlier, we used to be scared if we have to talk to a doctor on a phone, thinking that maybe he'll not be able to diagnose it properly and all. But now it is the preferred way to have a remote consultation and save our time. So with all of these things moving on to cloud and all, as it is, we were stressed. As it is, the system was stressed with respect to cybersecurity. And with Mythos, it has kind of completely gone into a full-blown problem for healthcare sector, if for the lack of a proper word. And we are equally concerned, and we are equally accelerated our response to Mythos as well as Project Glasswing. So since we are a regulated industry, there are certain things that we do which I do not know if the other sectors do or not. We are very much guided by how the FDA and other organizations kind of provide us what needs to be done, how these systems can be sold and all of that, right? Similar institutions in India as well. So there was a time when we were giving certain information. Now even the regulations are shifting. Regulations are also trying to catch up. So even before our system can evolve, the regulations are evolving, the privacy laws are evolving across the board, AI is going at a high speed. So it is, I will agree, and I will kind of say that it is going at a mad speed. Everything that impacts us. On top of that, the concerns around patient safety, the knowledge of the people, all of that is also evolving. So we are at a juncture where security is very important, but we cannot slow down. Given the digital revolution that has come in healthcare sector, the end customer will not let us slow down to take a break, to go slow, strengthen our cybersecurity. No, so it has to go parallel. That is the first thing that the healthcare sector has realized, that we have to go parallel. We have to strengthen our security portfolio, but we cannot afford to slow down our cloud migration, our adoption of AI into healthcare for faster diagnosis, precision health care, and kind of predictive health rather than reactive. Predict what the patient can have or the person can have, and kind of treat that even before it comes up, so that we have a healthier life. So with with Mythos and Project Glasswing, right, we are all there are multiple things that we are doing, but some things which are very unique to healthcare sector is the requirement for software bill of material, right? Today, even the hospitals are asking us for a software bill of material because they are themselves going ahead and doing penetration tests on our systems. So the software bill of material, the biggest problem that we have with software bill of material is if you are using open source, you will not have end of life there, or you will not have support there. So how do we get that end of life data? How do we ensure that we use only things that have support in there, which can be patched? That is the first problem that we are into now. The second bigger problem that we have is how do we monitor our systems? With Mythos, the need for continuous security monitoring is kind of evolving with a very high speed. Now, how do we do continuous monitoring and incident response at a very high speed? There are multiple parties involved in the healthcare sector. It is the healthcare provider, which are us, like the organizations. Then there is a hospital, which actually deals with the end customer, and then lies the hospital's IT team, which it has its own needs and all of that. And then it is a patient safety and the need. If my bank server is down for half an hour, maybe the impact is not as high. But if a CT system is down for half an hour and there is a patient waiting for a scan, the impact is high. If a surgery equipment is not ready and a patient needs to get a surgery done, the impact is very high. So the availability of the system is very, very high in healthcare sector. So given all of that, there is a need for a bigger partnership between all the needed players together to do that continuous security monitoring, and how we have to do that. And that is something that we are working across multiple players in this caregiving pathway between the manufacturer to the end customer. Then one more thing that is very important is we were doing penetration tests for our systems after COVID and before COVID. I think 2-3 years back, before COVID, penetration tests for healthcare equipments was a need, and we also realized that it is important. And it kind of, the frequency started reducing from once in a year to once in 6 months to once in 3 months. But now the need for having a AI red teaming with lot of AI algorithms on the system and the need for continuous monitoring is very important. So all of us are investing in having a good AI red team within our own organization, or partnering with organizations that have a good AI red team capabilities. Other thing is good tools for AI bomb, and that is not there in the market as of now. With my own limited knowledge, we kind of checked multiple tools, but something which is good enough is still not found. So AI bomb, very, very important, because that is something that has to be provided to the customer, and you yourself get to know what all things are there and what your third party algorithm is bringing into you is really important. And that is something that we are working on. Another thing is FTA mandated that there is a CVSS score and you kind of have to rely on that. But then that is a myth now. From Mythos, these things have become myths. Now, context aware risk scoring and risk assessment is what is important, not the CVSS score. So the days of CVSS scoring might not be as relevant. Then a context aware and proper information and how your system is operating, how much exploitable the particular vulnerability is very important. So we are also investing on building tools that can do a context aware risk assessment for us, which is AI augmented and tailored to the actual deployment of our systems and all of that. Another major thing is when AI is accelerating both the discovery of the exploitation, there is also, it is very important that we have a strong technical guardrails around the system that are being built. And that includes ensuring that controls like usage tracking, output validation, and runtime monitoring are in place. And so these systems don't become amplifiers of risk. And that is something that we are also investing in. But having said all of these things, what is most important is having a good AI governance as to how we will be able to use the AI for human benefit rather than it becoming an aversion. The way Mythos was not released to everyone is a good example, but there is a more of a need, at least in healthcare sector, to have a huge AI governance prioritization to ensure that the AI that is helping you to diagnose your disease better, to doing a precision care for your conditions, to predict your health outcome and help you not get into a bad situation, is not adversarially used to impact us. And AI governance is a piece where healthcare sector is also kind of investing a lot and kind of doing a lot of trainings to our employees, our partners, our third-party partners, our vendors, so that we as an organization, as a domain, are aware of the ethical usage of AI, given that our services impact all of us, including us, every human being surviving on this earth, right? So it is important that we make investment on AI governance. People understand the ethical usage of AI, and the weak link, supposedly human, is becoming our strong link. But yeah, that is something that we can only hope But yes, we are investing in that trainings. We are kind of bringing our own AI governance teams to help to work with our competitors as well, so that we together bring in a system uh, mm, which is at least ethical to us. And the way you are building and the way you are kind of working on should be ethical. Then it becomes easier for all of us to work closely and all of that. So we are investing in that area. So the bigger things or bigger themes that healthcare is kind of focusing today, if I have to summarize, number one, context aware AI based risk assessment for the vulnerabilities, number one investment area. Number two, the SBOM and how you kind of manage your third party software or the software of unknown province, which we call as SOUP. How do we manage SOUP? How do we do the life cycle of the SOUP? How do we ensure that continuous monitoring of the SOUP is in place? And the third thing that we are investing big is on AI red teaming. And fourth thing is on AI governance. So AI governance is something that is not not only limited to governance bodies, but we are ensuring that security experts, privacy experts, legal experts, along with engineering experts, are all in place in that governance space, so that we take the right decisions as to what algorithm should be used, what should not be used, what should be used within your organization, what you are going to put in the customer space, and all of that. And with these four huge investments in the healthcare sector, we are trying to catch up with what's going on. And with Glasswing coming into healthcare sector, I hope with our SOUP investment and all, we are well prepared for a good response. But we'll have to wait, as to, given the way things are evolving, nothing is enough, and we only have to be up on our toes. And also important that we invest heavily on training our people right, so that our
Thank you very much.
strong contribution doesn't become weak.
Thank you very much. Yes, competitors are collaborating to fight it out. We see that, and that's a good sign. The haves are one side and the have-nots are one side. Hopefully, they're trying to collaborate and see how they can see through these things. That's fantastic. Thank you. Yes, investment on red teaming and of course the AI governance, very important. Uh, Thank you for your views on that. Yeah, Shalab and Ramnath, the counter arguments, scholars both very nicely put across. I acknowledge, yes, we do need to have that kind of a counter argument. Not yet in the open, so obviously Mythos, what it can do, we possibly are not able to see. Thank you, Sriram, for responding to that. That yes, caution is always good. Yes, of course. Thank you. Now, for coming to the next sector that we want to discuss, we have the next speaker ready. This is BFSI sector. Of course, the next speaker is a very highly experienced Chief Information Security Officer and also CTO now presently for the M Pocket, been CISO at multiple companies in in different sectors. He had his fingers into many sectors as CISO, vastly experienced, very highly qualified to speak and possibly tell us as to what the BFS sector is looking at in terms of Mythos impact and how possibly the macro picture, if you can give. Jason, over to you. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, sir, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. So I think coming down, speaking somewhere down the line has its own problems, because many of your earlier speakers would have covered quite a lot, and rightly so. We've had a good discussion so far. Now, picking up on these things, if you look at how the BFSI sector has responded, I think at the highest levels of government, the Honorable Finance Minister, the regulator, everybody is taking a very serious, proactive view of things. There are discussions going on. There are governance frameworks, all of the above things coming into the picture. Now, having said that, I will take a step back. And there was Shalab's question regarding Opus and other things. So I'll also try to address that piece of it. Now, if you look at Project Glasswing, Cloud Mythos, or now so on and so forth, essentially see it in the label of frontier capable AI models. Okay, so what that means is these are models which can do a lot of things pointed at security. It it can automate, it can discern, it can find things faster than any of the red teamers we have in existence. Now, this includes the speed, it includes coverage, it includes a lot of things. Now, what that means for the BFSI sector is traditionally the BFSI sector has remained high risk because there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of reputation involved. And if you look at India Inc., one of our calling cards is how we have scaled up in the BFSI tech sector in the last 10 years. From our UPIs onwards towards everything else, payment gateways, etc. Now, there are statistics which say that 1 in 2 transactions on the digital stack is coming from India. So that's the scale we are talking about here. Now, what happens if part or parts of that goes down? So these are some of the biggest concerns that we have always had. Now, how Claude, Mythos, how the other AI capable models can actually cause more concern is along these following lines. The time taken to detect, I'm speaking from an adversarial perspective, the time taken to detect vulnerabilities, the time taken to detect and exploit chains of vulnerabilities or single vulnerabilities has infinitely gone down. Now, what that means for the BFSI sector is for us on the defensive side, incident response, AI augmented incident response, orchestrated responses, automation plus orchestration on the AI stack. I mean, the faster you respond, the more you're able to mitigate. Now, that is no longer an option. It's a reality. So that is something we have to take care on the incident response side. So that is something where a lot of people are evolving to have already evolved. In case of product security, so the traditional product security model is like we do a little bit of threat modeling. There are some residual vulnerabilities. Then it goes to code security, build security. Then we have your RASPs and everything protecting. Now, what that means is there will be vulnerabilities which are residual in the environment, etc. Now, it becomes absolutely important for you to reduce that surface. So therefore, shift left has more meaning than it has ever. So how you can action it is, for example, your SDRs, your secure design reviews and all, which catch early stage even before you code. Now, there are AI assisted tools which help you do all sorts of threat modeling in a matter of minutes. It helps you understand and hook up your traditional SDRs, your SAS, your DAS, your IaaS to let's say to any of these frontier capable AI models, you get the big picture. So that is one way in which you can reasonably detect chains of vulnerabilities before an adversary can possibly do it. So that's one way of looking at it. The third piece which I wanted to talk about is now considering that Claude and other similar softwares or AI capable models are getting released slowly into the mass environment. It is possible that uh, the cost of compliance, the cost of security, actual security might come down, which means more organizations will have access to high-end security detection and therefore mitigation as well, which means the market for zero-day vulnerabilities will increase quite a lot. So the, 0 day, when I'm talking of 0 days, these are not the kind of previously undisclosed vulnerabilities sort of 0 days. These are those intentional backdoors, so on and so forth, which have been in systems for a long time. Now, if the market for these kind of things will increase quite a lot, so investing in proper zero-day intelligence solutions will help augment this capability by a lot. Your traditional threat intelligence solutions go by the traditional, I mean, somebody covered CVSS earlier. Now, those kind of models may not exactly cut it because it takes a long time for you to triage. Even if you add UABA or any other layers on top of it and all, you may not actually catch the whole scenario. So zero-day intelligence is of paramount importance, right, in this sector. Then the next piece is we use a lot of AI in our production systems, be it the underwriting models, be it fraud mitigation, fraud risk intelligence, so on and so forth. Now, and also there we have the video KYC systems, etc. Now, deepfake, not synthetic identities, decoding them, understanding these. No, these are also some things which the BFSI sector is gearing to mitigate. The last piece which I will throw forward for consideration is the security systems themselves. We have had quite a few cases in the recent, just I think in the last 2 or 3 months. I will not name the security companies involved, but these are some of the A-list names in security. All of these companies have had discoveries from the courtesy the AI systems. And now if the security systems themselves can be breached, it means privileged access handed down. So that is going to be a severe risk. So understanding and mitigating for these solutions is not something we have traditionally thought of. So this is something that we will have to consider. The next frontier is the identity threat detection and response. So we in this sector we have a lot of non-human identities, etc., etc. And recently, of course, I mean, we the AI systems had discovered a vulnerability in Mozilla. So like these kind of things, browser-based attacks, all of those kind of things, and all will have will see an uptick. That is what we reasonably forecast. And accordingly, we will also have to mitigate for that. So in the identity detection and response, that is no longer an option, of course. The second piece is if your identity systems are compromised. Now, how do you exactly mitigate for that? So you contain the blast radius. So basic hygiene, like your zero trust this one architecture and all comes into play. It mitigates your blast radius even if there is a compromise. We will have to move from a thinking of, from thinking to prevent towards cyber resilience. Now, in the event something happens, how do I mitigate? So that focus, I think, is very key to the BFSI sector. So think I have reasonably covered all. I will look forward to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jason. Yes, I think the bigger picture you have given, and if there are any specifics, we can always answer that during the question answers. Thank you very much for that perspective on the BFSS sector, how it's looking at this particular challenge, possibly, I can use that word. I now have someone who is founded, and he is the CEO of a company known as SecJourney. He has been working in the AI sector for a long time, and worked in multiple companies, very highly qualified, doctorate in cybersecurity. We have Dr. Om Prakash. The whole thing about the sector specific problems and other things that we discussed in two sectors. Now we have the perspective that is new architecture patterns for defense. How do we defend? That's the topic that we have Dr. Om Prakash discussing. Over to you, Dr. Om Prakash. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, because we have people from all over the world. So let me share my presentation. And Naidu sir, if you can see, then let me know.
We can.
Yes,
we
so
can.
we can see that.
Okay, so previous speakers, they have talked about every aspect around this. Let me just summarize a few things and move towards what are the new evolving architecture patterns which people are considering. Some of them are work in progress. Some of them are already deployed in production. Now, we all know that Cloud and Mythos, when it came a few weeks back, it has shown something very significant. It has shown significant offensive capability, fully automated at machine speed. It discovered a lot of zero-day vulnerabilities and the vulnerabilities which were not being considered by different teams. Now, what it essentially brings is that it can discover and chain vulnerabilities as well as perform attack in the same vein. So the normal standard cycle of vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, analyzing the results, analyzing the CVSS, etc., all that has become kind of obsolete. They are important, but they are not sufficient. Now we have new threat taxonomy, which talks about goal misalignment. Now, the agentic AI at runtime, by the way, the entire ecosystem, the threat landscape, what we are talking about is the agentic AI capability where AI agents can autonomously perform actions with least human intervention. Now, in that, and Cloud Mythos is one of the agentic AI framework by Anthropic. Now, the new threat taxonomy calls for indirect prompt injection. You don't know where the prompt is coming from. In runtime, prompts can be changed. So a prompt performing or helping a business function can do something else. There are memory poisoning at runtime, policy poisoning, systems which depend upon reasoning algorithms. There can be feedback manipulation. Now, all put together, the point which I'm trying to convey is the response from enterprises, from organizations, from government sector, and as well as multination and the entire ecosystem that requires a radical architecture shift. Now, if you look at the graph at the bottom, the average attack execution time by AI is in seconds now. And human SOC reaction time, people who are working in security operations, trying to safeguard the digital ecosystem, that is in hours. So definitely we need to bring capabilities and deliver results to safeguard our ecosystem. Now that requires continuous adaptive risk assessment. So dynamically performing risk management, assessment, and then responding to it. Now we also need decentralized identity for non-human agents and various other things which we'll be talking about. Now, what are the evolving strategies and architecture patterns which are coming in? Some of these were mentioned in the previous talk. Let me just summarize it. So the world is moving towards preemptive cyber defense through automated moving target defense. Now, this is a strategy designed to make systems unpredictable and makes it costly for adversaries to attack. So if I can put a decoy or put a system to fool AI attacks, so that kind of ecosystem this strategy is talking about. From zero trust to CARTA, CARTA is continuous adaptive risk and trust assessment. It extends the existing JET-TA framework by continuously evaluating risk and trust. Now, there are various add-ons by CARTA which are coming in the architecture pattern. Now, autonomous security operations is another area which leverages hyperautomation and AI agents to manage threat detection and response lifecycle with minimal human intervention. So it's a AI to AI warfare. So to thwart the attacks from AI, we need to respond with AI and we need to leverage hyperautomation. Now, somebody was talking about the identity part. Yes, decentralized identity and verifiable trust for multi-agent systems. So we are having decentralized identifier DIDs and verifiable credentials so that and this whole thing, the architecture is distributed, so we do not have a single point of failure by getting logged in an AD verification. Then cryptographic integrity via AI supply chain, where we build a permanent ledger for identities, and any entry, any change is approved by multiple parties, something what you see in the blockchain technology. And of course, synthetic red teaming and continuous threat exposure management. This is another area where we just do not rely on the vulnerability Excel sheet with CVSS, and some of them might be missing the business context. Most of them actually misses the business context. So how do we bring business context into the game and do continuous threat exposure management. Now, going forward, there are three-layer defense model to respond to Mythos type of autonomous agentic AI attack, which needs to have dynamic self-healing mesh network kind of thing. So three things are very important. One is AI native identity, which mandates continuous identity verification and also looks for human patterns, like human patterns, human behavior of getting access to a system will be different than an AI behavior. So AI behavior can be predicted. Human behavior is little non-linear. Now, cognitive deception, basically fooling the AI agents with different approaches, and then moving target defense, where we do not stay static in our posture. Now, our posture, if it keeps changing, it is difficult. It would be difficult for attackers to understand the context and perform an attack. Now, having said this, what would be the takeaway in terms of implementation checklist? So you would ask, how do I implement things? So we need to deploy ghost assets, which is nothing but basically honeypots to lure attackers and the AI agents, and catch automated scanners. Like there are a lot of AI scanners which are automated, which are scanning the system. Now, what are the automated signatures generated out of that automated traffic pattern? So we need to identify that and fool the attacker or the AI agent into something puzzling, and then they keep on in a recursive loop. Now, we also need to integrate AI SIEM, which connects log and looks for non-human query patterns. So there are human query patterns and then non-human query patterns. So we need to distinguish between that. And we also need to operationalize continuous threat exposure management across organization, which requires continuous asset discovery and continuous threat exposure discovery, the attack path, the possible exploitability, risk score, prioritization in a business context, and things like that. Now, this is the reference architecture pattern, which is cognitive and decentralized. Now, whatever we have seen and heard so far, there are four areas which we need to focus upon to build adaptive cyber defense architecture. The first is identity. Second is intelligence, like bringing more and more intelligence into the system. Now, there are patterns for that. Then applying deception as a strategy. And finally, we need to respond. Now, if we focus on these four areas and build our ecosystem and components which can provide these capabilities, we will be moving towards a cognitive and decentralized defense ecosystem and will be in a better position to respond to attacks which are being conducted by agentic AI ecosystem, autonomous AI agents like Cloud Mythos. Now, in this, there are few things which I would like to cover. The autonomous agent, where multi-agent orchestration is important. For intel, we need to rely on federated intelligence. For deception, we need to dynamically create deception ecosystems and trick AI into solving endless puzzles, deploy semantic guardrails, do intent-based monitoring. On the identity side, we need to have immutable ID fabric. Now, just to summarize the entire distributed ledger authentication, something what a blockchain does. And with this, when we integrate all these four dimensions into components, we build a hyperscaler kind of secure ecosystem. Now, this looks pretty complex. I understand that. But how do we actually get into a solution architecture? So this is a very simplistic solution architecture pattern which I have put. So essentially, we have to start with input. So we need to do continuous environment discovery, continuous asset discovery. What are the different components which are there in my system? Your EC2s, your microservices, the services exposed to public internet, and your machines, your network devices, your switches, router, everything. And then the risk indicators. Now, we need to collect data from various monitoring and observability landscape, like your SIEM, your DLPs, then network monitoring, email monitoring. Wherever we are doing monitoring and collecting logs, we need to get those data. And we also need to have threat intel continuously being put into the system. Now, once we have these risk indicators, then we need to do in context correlation of these risk indicators with asset, so that we can discover something which is exploitable, and then we validate that exploitable path with threat intel. So we need to have multi-model swarm where we can work with different large language models and machine learning models. Now, with respect to Mythos and other agentic AI powering models, these could be add-ons to this ecosystem, either in runtime or in a shadow IT mode. So, because people are concerned and they have a concern to send their data to public internet, so they might leverage something in the shadow IT kind of ecosystem to power the models and leverage what it can provide, either intelligence or adversarial patterns. Then AI core has to be there to monitor and
Running short
decide.
of time. We are running
Just
short of
last
time.
30 seconds. Just last 30 seconds. Then we need to build AI governance and CTEM and then the response framework. With this, thank you so much. And as I thank you, there are few food for thought for future. People are looking for execution without decryption. We are also looking at hardware root of trust and crystal cyber. So these are the terms which you should be exploring further if you are interested in this area. Thank you very much. It was nice being with you.
Thank you, Om. I think you drove the points very well. CTEM, Kata, and of course integrate AI into the CM. Very important takeaways. Those nicely put across very difficult architecture in simple terms. Thanks a lot, Om, for that. Thank you. Moving to the next speaker, we have my partner, Mr. Rajshekhar Pullabhatla, a founder of BreachX, founder of ISAC, and of course, host of other cybersecurity companies, focusing most on the zero-day defense that we have been speaking about. I don't want to speak much about him because he's my partner, so I can go on speaking about him for long. So thank you very much, Raj, for joining. Although you are out of time zone that we operate, we would like you to speak on defending from the unknown. How do we do it, and how you think we can possibly defend ourselves? And also, I want you to tell us. Are the smaller cybersecurity companies do they have any future in the post Mythos era? Are only those biggies and those who can afford the haves only will have their say? That's one question that I want you to answer. Over to you, Raj.
Thank you, sir. And hello, all the beautiful boys and girls today. On what we've been discussing on the Mythos and all other developments around it. See, I see it like this. There has been no better time for cybersecurity business to flourish, right? And I look at Mythos as one of those Will Smith AI movements where, do you remember when the earlier image generators came and they had this weird test of Will Smith eating noodles? How many of you remember this? Do you remember this? Just imagine few years back, you had this Will Smith guy, with 7, 8 fingers. Now you can't distinguish, right? It's so real. What it means is that, Mythos is such a great, amazing news for all of us that we've been waiting for so many years of as cybersecurity guys, because trust me, cybersecurity has been always been a hard sell, right? Selling cybersecurity to the board, trying to make sense of why they must do governance, why they must do compliance. Now we have an amazing story. We are like, जैसे बचपन में नहीं मम्मी will tell you stories कि दरवाजे के पीछे भूत है if you don't sleep on time. Now we can tell the board like दरवाजे के पीछे mythos है. If you are not able to invest on time in cybersecurity, this is going to be a big problem for you, right? So for all cybersecurity guys, I think there could never have been a better time for business, and never a better time and opportunity for business. So to answer your question, sir, will small cybersecurity companies will get business? Of course, yes. There is no doubt on that. Now, I'll tell you one funny incident. So I'm in Abu Dhabi right now, and 2 days back, I went for a customer meeting. You'll not believe what happened. This pre-sales guy walks into office. We are in a meeting. The pre-sales guy from that company walks into the office where there is the board sitting there, and we're discussing. And he's giving update on the implementation of governance. Pre-sales guy. And you know what he said? One line, sir, I am coding in Replit. We will roll out that tool in next 24 hours और हम manage कर लेंगे sir. So cute. A pre-sales guy telling the board that I am coding in Replit and I'm going to deploy it for production. On what are they building? A complete tool for managing policies in the company for AI and cybersecurity. A pre-sales guy coding it. इससे अच्छी खुशखबरी क्या हो सकती है हम लोग के लिए, right? I'm like, you know what? आप coding करो, we are going to play tag now in office, right? We're just going to play tag in office and have fun because क्या बचा करने के लिए और? Now this opportunity is what I'm talking about, right? We want these guys to code these platforms. Go to Replit, go to Lovable, बनाओ जितना tools बनाना है, deploy करो. Like we love shadow IT tools, right? Shadow AI tools. Because every one of them which is going to spend time making these things is going to build an exposure and an attack surface that we guys love, right? फिर बैंड बजाने को मजा आएगा उसके बाद. So bottom line, Mythos, I think good news because just see board dynamics, right? In a meeting room, board guys बहुत मुश्किल से फाइट कर करके 90s से लेकर द साइबर सिक्योरिटी गाय मैनेज टू गेट इनसाइड द बोर्ड रूम, राइट? द सीजो नाउ इज सिटिंग इन द बोर्ड रूम. पहले नहीं था ऐसे. पहले सीआईओ वाज इन द बोर्ड रूम. सीजो एंटर्ड द बोर्ड रूम, सिटिंग इन द कॉर्नर. ओके, अब जैसे मैथोस आया, द होल बोर्ड इज लाइक स्लोली सरक सरक के सीजो के बाजू में बैठ गए लोग, राइट? बिकॉज दे डोंट वांट टू लेट गो द सीजो. ही इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट मैन इन द रूम बिकॉज ही इज द ओनली वन हु नोस अबाउट mythos. What is the moral of the story? There has never been a better time for business, and I love it personally. Every cybersecurity guy in this room today, in this particular meeting, should be proud of Anthropic, of doing a favor on our industry, of releasing a model like this that is scaring the hell out of everybody, right? So yeah, there are risks of shadow AI. Of course, yes, there are risks. होना भी चाहिए risk, right? Yes, there is risk of AI attacks. The mean time is falling down. ये सब कहानी सबको मालूम है, right? We know that 0 days are. देखो, I'll tell you something. In BreachX, when we started building AI models for discovering 0 days, I put a LinkedIn post on this. Do you know that we had to go through more than 1,000 plus iterations for the first 0 day that we discovered with an AI model? It's not easy. You know why? Because AI is beautiful and hallucinating. It created an exploit that looked like an exploit, but it did not work. It does not compile, right? So I know it depends on what kind of models you use, what kind of training you've been doing it. There are a lot of factors to it. But thing is that the attacks are here to stay. People will find ways to train models and become more offensive in nature, and it's a great news for us, right? So all the speakers who have been talking about cyber security, risks and all, मुझे पता है अंदर ही अंदर मन में सब बहुत खुशी होगी सब लोग को अंदर. You know why? Because I know that your role has been elevated, your job is secure, there are more opportunities, and there is a great time to do business, right? That is how I see it. So if you ask me, my perspective and my summary of what this entire thing is, I think that we are living in great times, and we must motivate people to use these kind of models and create more code, more tools, and fine, tools will come. AI red teaming, ठीक है. AI attack intelligence, superb, right? So the budgets will break. A new kind of funding will happen from CISOs. New money, new categories will come. Never been more exciting time, working in this industry. So that's my take, sir. I think beyond this, what
Thank
do
you.
this is
No,
what it
a
is.
very optimistic proposition you have made, and you have made people feel nice about in moving up in the boardroom slowly.
It is a
Fantastic,
good news.
Raj.
There's no doubt on that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, but also on the flip side, are we looking at something like this kind of tools or the technology is being easily available to the crooks? That's a question that we are looking at.
One point that I would like to add, see, the cost of tokens, right? If you learn about AI, study about AI, at one point of time, yes, you will understand about the maths behind it. But at some point of time, you will start thinking, yeah, this is a very stupid way of, designing products also, right? The kind of token consumption which is happening, there will be a shift, right? You will have, quantized applications coming in, which will, do the same job at a lower rate of processing, all fine. But the cost of guys to do this will increase over time. It's not that cheap to rent servers in for GPUs online on Hugging Face and do your research and train data. It's not that easy, right? So time will come. But there's another opportunity here. If there are companies in India or other countries which make products similar to Mythos, right? AI models, proprietary AI models, small specialized models, there's a tremendous market for it. Just imagine OpenAI signed a contract with Pentagon, Anthropic signed, Gemini signed. Can you imagine the same thing can happen in India also? An AI company coming from India, designed in India by cybersecurity guys, can sign a contract with the defense or the ISRO or similar companies in India. What a great time, right? Okay, I mean,
Yeah, I'm looking at Dr. Om Prakash to sign with the Minister of Defense next week.
of course, see, he is dealing with
It's
something on
possible.
quantum, and that's a fascinating domain altogether again, right? So worst case क्या है? आपको इसराइल का टैग लगाना पड़ेगा worst case में जाके कि वहाँ कंपनी खोल दी, हमारा कोलैबोरेशन है, बेचना ही तो ना, अल्टीमेटली आपको बेचना ही है, बिजनेस करना आपको, राइट? तो आई थिंक that's where
Thank you.
opportunity is there.
Thanks. Excellent perspective. I think you made the day for all of us. Thank you, and especially those who are wanting to get into the cybersecurity field as youngsters, those who have joined. I think they will feel nice about the prospects that they can look at. Yeah, you need. Morning, I asked the AI thing to tell me who has created Mythos, and hey, guy, you don't know it's CyberRange which has created Mythos. I said, what? CyberRange? Yeah, it's CyberRange product. Then I asked, "Are you sure?" Said, "I'm just kidding." I mean, can you believe an AI, fooling me to that extent? I just couldn't believe. Then I said, "No, I'm not going to use AI for asking any more questions on this. I will do something else." Anyway, thanks a lot for joining.
It
Thanks.
was like yesterday, sir. I actually was trying to use Nano Banana to generate one blow up image of a product. And that stupid model spent 12 minutes thinking, burned around 6,000 tokens, and did not give an output. Right? So I was like having a good time. This is what is going to happen. So it's a good time. I think no better time being in the industry in
Oh,
cybersecurity.
very
It's fun.
very promptly it gave response saying CyberRange has created Mythos. What do I do? So it's like that.
So
Good. Thanks a lot.
play tag with your
Yeah,
team, have fun.
yeah, I have to do that. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for that. Now we have the next speaker, Mukta, very highly experienced cybersecurity professional, a scholar, national cybersecurity scholar herself, and worked in some very fine companies, Wipro and Mercedes-Benz and Honeywell, and now Microsoft. What profile, Mukta? Thank you very much. She is product head there. Thank you, Mukta, for joining, and I'm sure your perspective on what the SDLC will look like in post Mythos era will be of interest to us. Please keep your time, a little watch on the time, because we are running out of time now. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. First of all, a warm welcome to everyone for joining
Over
this
to you,
session.
Mukta.
Okay. I hope my voice is audible.
Yes, Mukta, loud and clear.
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
can
sir.
hear
First
you.
of all, a warm welcome to everyone for joining this session on a Saturday afternoon. Now, coming towards the end, almost everyone has already echoed their opinion. So let me just talk about and dive deep into what the post-Mythos era looks like in changing the SDLC, the whole software development lifecycle shifts, because it's not just about defending the systems, it's how you design and develop the system right from the code. So I'll just cover a key points here because most of them has already been spoken about. So let's dive deep. Just a pause here for a few seconds to talk about some of the stats around what Mythos change brings in. It's basically democratizing how the cyber attacks are going to be launched, the new sophisticated attacks, which is no more just the realm of the state-sponsored attackers, but the time has crunched a lot. And if we just go further, why it's important to think about SDLC in a different perspective as such, because the earlier assumption was all about, hey, it is humans who write the code, they review the code, they are doing the security testing, attack will be also done by humans, right? But that doesn't hold anymore true. With AI agents continuously attacking, analyzing, and patching, we need to think how we are building the systems in the first place. And that's what we are going to talk about and cover today. Let's pause and take a look. This slide covers the whole arc around the SDLC transformations across the decades, covering all the phases in which a software is developed, starting from the design, development, testing, deployment, and maintaining the code. The first one, as we all remember, we would have operated at some point of time in the waterfall model, which is strictly linear, and the security reviews and testing generally comes in the testing phase, much after the whole design and development is sealed and the decisions have been taken, right? This was applicable at this time, but not anymore. And it was very soon replaced with the agile model that was all about speed, iterations, faster deployment, faster build, faster rolling it out. Testing was integrated, but it was a bolt-in solution, right? So the more the releases are happening faster, the security is actually not keeping up to the pace of those deployments, and the attack surface increased. And then came in the model which many of the companies are still very much into, the DevOps, combining of development and operations, or as we call it as DevSecOps, right? Which was all about, hey, put testing into all the phases, make it available right from the CI/CD pipelines to the infrastructure as a code. This was
Please
good.
share your slides. Please share your slide. Share this slide.
Okay, I think I started. Let me just try once again.
You have the share screen privilege.
Okay. Just confirm it's visible.
It's coming on now.
Okay.
Visible.
Yeah, visible now.
Okay, perfect. So this was, I was talking about the 4 decades of the security transformation, which has happened into different models that we have operated in, starting from the waterfall model, which was very linear and rigid, and the testing came at that stage, followed by the agile model, which was again good development where iterations were faster and the testing became integrated. And then the DevSecOps model, which was all about, hey, shift left, make security as a code. It moved faster. It put security everywhere, right into the development tools, the IDE environments, pull requests, CI/CD pipelines, runtime telemetry. It made it omnipresent. It was a good shift, but not enough. It was still reactive because it was calibrated for the human speed threats. And now you see towards the right side is the watershed movement for the AI-driven security. This was all about, hey, automated threat modeling right into the design phase, the AI augmented code reviews in the development phase, then the AI generated exploit payloads happening in the testing phase, with AI evaluating the infrastructure configurations in the deployment phase, and the continuous zero-day scanning and the patch generations in the maintenance phase. So as the previous speakers have already called it out, it's a handoff between AI versus AI. If AI is attacking at that machine scale, we need human and AI collaboration together to defend and protect at that machine scale. We need those agents right at every stage, the coding agents, the security review agents, exploit simulation agents, compliant agents, and whatnot, to make sure that all the phases of the software development lifecycle, be it the design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance, are secured. So just look around. From a single testing gate in the waterfall model, we have come to the omnipresent AI-driven defense in the post-Mythos world. And this is where all of us should be. But if you just take a look again at what does it mean? Is it only the job of a CISO or security engineers? No. It means making the security role for everyone who is involved in the product development, right from the designer, developers, product architects, product managers, and everyone, because security is applicable to all. And what does the new features means like? Security is no more just a checkbox. Earlier, if you remember, security was always called out as a NFR, non-functional requirement in the requirement documentation, but it is no more the same. It is becoming a product features which the vendors will use to create it as a differentiator. The patch velocity becomes a differentiator, and provenance becomes very important because all the documents that gets created, the threat model artifacts, the SBOMs, has to be proved and audited. So somebody was asking about what is the takeaway, right? What does the action list look like? Don't worry. Although it is no more just a technology risk, it is a business risk of the highest order. But we have some plans which we can take in the short term, mid-term, and the long term. Immediately, just ensure that you use AI at your own systems, run a discovery scan. In the long middle term, establish the AI-driven red teaming in your pipelines, directly integrated in your pipelines. And in the long term, rebuild the whole SDLC, making sure security is a foundational constraint over there. Just talking some of the matrices over there, how do we track? Well, earlier it was all about, hey, how many bugs are we finding or how fast are you fixing? The new metrics will be, this is not an exhaustive list, but some of the list will definitely include the exploitability window, autonomous remediation, agent trust score. How do you rate the human performance today who's writing the code? In the similar way, if AI agent is writing your code, you need to ensure that they can verify the performance of the AI agent written code as well. And just to give you a glimpse, yeah, many of the tech industries are already working on it with Microsoft Secure Future Initiative, the SFI, the calories and budget has already been invested. The GitHub Copilot workflows already include suggestions against the vulnerability patterns before they reach the developer, as well as the automated security checks make sure that the pull requests and the merges are clean. Similarly, the Google OS fuzz logic, which discovered 10K plus vulnerabilities in 1000 plus open source softwares is amazing. And Amazon, which is working on autonomous cloud hardening and runtime centric defenses. This is where some of the industry is investing their budget and calories into, which makes us think about how do we look in the whole SDLC cycle together. Last but not the least, it is not about whether AI will write the code. It is definitely writing in most of our companies. The percentages may vary, but the defining question is how we can survive and be resilient in this age when we are continuously attacked from the AI. So it's all about survival and resilience. So just think about it. Security is the foundational thing we have to think as we start even designing and writing the first line of the code. That's all I wanted to talk today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mukta. Yes, definitely secure, but and very big, and AI fights the AI. And thank you very much for your perspective. We have run out of the time. Ms. Priyanka is supposed to have joined. She is also not well. She has shared her thoughts to me, but I think I will reserve them for another day to be included. Before we wind up, what I'll request is all the speakers to answer one question. What is one thing, Ganesh, that everyone has to learn or unlearn?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Ganesh.
one of the very key question came up, right? Hey, how do I ensure? You talked about the business context integrating with the threat context. So basically, that's the framework which is speeding up now, which is called as CTEM, while Om Prakash also talked about, right? Continuous threat exposure management. The 5 or 6 stages which people are talking about, we should ensure that while we get the threat context, we also get the business context, and the platform should be able to stitch enough so that the business can take initiative in the right way to secure the systems. And the common question is, we have our Opus, we have multiple things coming up. So Mythos is one which we picked up as a topic for today, but just consider this as all models, right? We are fighting against an AI in this era, right? Whether it's a Opus, Mythos, any platform coming in. So we should have the clarity context so that we can take a business decision accordingly to secure the enterprise. That's my take. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Shivani, what do you suggest? One thing that one has to learn or unlearn in this new age?
Unlearn is definitely that we cannot be slow anymore. We cannot be reactive anymore. And learn is how to operate at AI speed. with built-in governance. I could always say that. How do you go fast, but with built-in governance, AI governance in place? You have to learn.
Thank you. Thank you. Jason, what's
Sir,
your response?
sir, I've always maintained that you always have to learn in cyber, no matter what. So you have to, so on a serious note, you have to learn, keep continuously learning. Nothing beats the basics till now. So basic cyber hygiene, everything, all of these goes a long way. So the more comprehensively you know about these systems and the risks involved in not implementing basic cyber hygiene, that is this thing. So keep looking around and also keep abreast as much as possible with the latest AI developments. Think of things. Now, one of the things which I have seen in the industry is that the cyber defense guys look at cyber from a defensive perspective. The offensive guys look at it only from an offensive perspective. It now, I mean, and it was previously optional for everybody to look at things from their own perspective. It's no longer optional. You have to look at both sides of the picture, and you have to unlearn the habit. Like, there is a saying, for a person with the hammer, every problem is a nail. So that way of looking at things has to go away. We have to be as comprehensive as possible. So unlearning whatever you have learned does not mean that you should keep aside everything that you have learned previously. Use it where relevant. That judgment has to be very important. So be as logical as possible. Second, stick to the basics. The third thing which I will say is, I was at a panel yesterday. There was this very interesting question which was thrown at us, like, which companies do you think will be cyber resilient in the next 5 years? There are various answers. The one thought which came to my mind is, we speak of companies that innovate in terms of products, who will go on to make, the Claudes and the Anthropics and no, the OpenAIs are no exception. The same thing goes for cybersecurity as well. The more you innovate, the more you think out of the box, come out with solutions and implement them in a cost-effective manner, that will define. So innovation is something that you will have to, in case that's not something that you're comfortable with, you will have to get comfortable and learn it. So these are the key takeaways that I will put for the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for wearing that NSD, National Security Database T-shirt. Thank you so much, and for flaunting that as a scholar, as a CCIO, and someone who has been supporting the NSD and ISAC for a long, long time. Thank you. And of course, Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das has mentioned that the NSD project is a way forward. Possibly, yes, we will be able to the hygiene part and creating the cyber warriors. That's something which we can possibly do together. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for that response as well. I think you explained what should be learned and what should be unlearned, and yeah, it's continuous learning. That's what it is. Dr. Om Prakash, what's your take on that question? What
Yeah,
should one
so
learn?
yeah. I
Quick
got that.
response.
Thank you. Yeah, so what we need to unlearn is not learning, and what we need to learn is learning. Because AI is learning, so we human also need to be
It's learning
continuously
faster.
learning.
It's learning
Yeah,
faster.
yeah. But a fundamental shift, what we need to bring as a culture in our country is culture of research. That is grossly missing. We have hardly 72 patents in cybersecurity, whereas China and other countries, they're having thousands. We have 153 data centers in the world. US has 10,000. So these things are, effective in the long term, saving our nation and whatever kind of security we are thinking about. So a culture of research and some liaising and support from governance also has to be blissful for these kind of research work. I guess government is doing something, but we can also impact in a different way, non-linear ways for academics, institutions, and others to basically foster the culture of research.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very well said. Lack of research culture. In fact, Priyanka has not been able to join, and we have less time, so I was not able to present what she has shared with me. But one of the points that she has said is ISAC needs to create a center for cyber law and society where research in cybersecurity is encouraged. See, government is doing a lot of things, but government cannot do everything. Government is doing a lot of things, but government is not expected to do every and anything. There are some things which possibly non-profits can do. There are some things which possibly corporates can do. So there's something which can possibly what you said is creating research culture. I think ISAC will take on that responsibility and take support from people like you, all of you who are national cybersecurity scholars as well, and some of you are doctorates, and you have done research work elaborately. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Raj, are you there? Or you have dropped off? Or you answered my question earlier, so you dropped off. Okay. Anyone else? Two questions before we wind up this fantastic panel. And I also must thank Dr. Om Prakash for giving me this idea of hosting this symposium. Thank you so much, Om. It's your brainchild, and then of course we put it together. Courtesy all these speakers and others. But we have had a little difficulty with Mr. Sanjay Kumar Das because the governor's address is more important. Obviously, he's a senior officer in the government of West Bengal, and a lot of things are happening there. And the law part, we will have it in the next session because that will become relevant for everyone. So it's that relevance continues. So any person, Shalab, thank you very much for asking those questions. I think it's been answered. Anyone wants to ask any question to any of the speakers available or to me? We'll be very happy to answer before we wind up. Two questions we can take because of
I think
paucity
there
of
is a
time.
question in the chat. Actionable points for the public.
Yeah,
What-
Shalab, you want to say something?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask, like, how do you see the regulatory framework evolving in India? We already have DPDP. In EU,
Yeah,
we have
so,
the EU AI Act, but what do we see in India?
yeah, in fact, Priyanka was supposed to address that particular question. So what we are seeing is, see, if you see the DPDP, originally what was withdrawn from the parliament was a 523-page book, huge book as an act. And everyone was confused with what is written there. And then they came back, a 24-page DPDP Act has come. It signals something very significant in terms of shift in approach to making the legislation. Make the main legislation broad, leave scope for the subordinate legislation. And that subordinate legislation is regulatory framework for the policymakers, not the legislators. Now, also, the constitutional provisions are existing for faster legislation. Whatever name you call it, it's a different aspect altogether, ordinance or whatever you want to say. But there is a provision, and the government in power should be able to do it. Trust you me, the present government has, removed from the statute books thousands of acts which were not implementable, made changes to the existing ones which are implementable. They are also in the process, especially for the IT laws, they are in the process of bringing in something very similar to DPDP Act, where you will have that speedier legislation as well as speedier regulation. And my take is, you need to have a standing committee separate. There is a standing committee of parliament for the IT information technology, but within the ministry they may have something which it's like a quick response team. It's like, QRT, we call it in the armed forces. Every unit has a QRT, quick response team. It's like that. The ministry must have a quick response committee which foresees problems and not react, see into the future and create that kind of regulatory mechanism. This is what I feel should be the way to do that. Okay. Shalab, did I answer your question? Provision exists. That's what I'm saying.
Sir, I'd like to add a little bit on that.
Please go ahead, Jason.
So, Shalab, to your question, there are a few mighty AI advisories. So, specifically, you address the DPDP aspect. So, there are certain things around MIT's AI advisories, which at least organizations are expected to comply in terms of labeling synthetic or generated content. I would say preventing unlawful outputs and ensuring traceability and accountability, and avoidance or deployment of unreliable models, and protecting any access to sensitive data like your other spans, etc. So there are certain sector specific guidelines, and there are a couple of mighty advisories in this regard. So regulation is moving fast, and I also think that considering the way the finance ministry and everybody is moving, we are expecting something very soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. And by the way, this session we can give the CPE certificate for those of you who want it. Please drop a mail to either Yatinder directly, yatinder@isacfoundation.org, whose email ID you all have. Otherwise, to support titling CPE credits for this session, please do that. That's one. Thank you, Anil Lole. Yes, we would continue to do that. And thank you, Ramnath. Thanks, AVM. Karkare, thank you very much. We'll do that. Okay. One more person? Anyone wants to ask any question? One more question we can take before people drop out. What is the coming next in this year?
Sir, can I?
Yeah, please, Sriram, go ahead.
Sir, I think given the variety of industries people are from, I think it will help if we create like a centralized repository of exploits. At least private, public, we can discuss. At least internally within ISAC.
We have in the NSD portal. What I'll do is I'll have a session on the NSD portal separately. We are planning one session for the portal .copconnect.in and one for the portal for the NSD. So I'll do that. We have that provision. Thank you very much for bringing in this point.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Rohan, you want to ask something?
Yes, sir. Very good morning to everyone. So, sir,
Yeah.
I have a question. Let's say nowadays what is happening is that in a lot of industries, there are different set of regulations and master directions which are coming, and those are coming from the different set of regulatories. Okay, and then like for example, SEBI is sending something, RBI is sending something like that, and there are a lot of overlap that are there in terms of certain mandates which can be looked towards the complying meeting the compliances. But what happens that there are different set of audits also takes place for different set of regulations. So any suggestion that let's say while we may have same compliance to be produced and that is applicable to meet or that can act as a demonstrable piece of evidence for one particular requirement which also is part of several other circulars, and can ensure that there is not duplication of works and efforts into this. Any idea about this? Any thought on this, sir?
Sir, shall I take that question? Jason here. Naidu, sir?
Yeah, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah. So, Rohan, your single point answer to this is there is something called compliance automation. So you have various compliance automation tools which operate out of a concept called the Unified Compliance Framework or Common Control Framework. So essentially, what that means is this is a very common problem. So you have, let's say, Directive A, Standard B, and let's say a law C. So all of this will essentially talk of data security, data privacy, or a PIMS. So there will be an overlapping set of controls. What this does is it maps your policies, it maps your evidences, and therefore you will, if compliance to one will mean at least partial compliance to the other. So that's one way of looking at not duplication of efforts. I hope that answers.
Sir, that actually answers to certain extent. This so an extension to my previous question that I raised. That
Right.
yes, your answer is right. I mean, there are a lot of solutions which are available who can actually work as a instrumental tools, and we can have a lot of evidencing and responses captured as one single repository, which can cater to different audit requirement. Where I was
Right.
actually having another set of question is that it basically, while we know that any entity which has been obligated by different regulations, and while they are aware that the same requirements will be that is being put by one regulatory is going to be coming as a mandate from the other regulatory in some point in time. But as far as this particular setup is happening, any idea about I know this question may be maybe very futuristic to ask, but any idea that at a regulatory bodies level is anything happening that that they have one single source of solution, circular, which can accommodate all the overlapping controls at risk, so that it will be a little bit easier for organizations to avoid such kind of duplications. Because what
Okay.
happens is that
I have understood. I have understood the question. I will
Okay,
answer
I
that.
also wanted to say. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. There are statutory bodies and there are non-statutory regulators, and to coordinate between all of them, we have created a body known as National Cybersecurity Coordinator under the Prime Minister's Office. So this structure exists. As of date, I'm aware that a huge amount of coordination happens between various departments. But there are some sensitive critical information infrastructures sectors which have their sectoral regulators as well as sectoral certs. Sectoral certs also are there. So now where the sectoral certs are there, sectoral regulators are there, they are dealing with that particular sector. Even those are coordinated by the National Cybersecurity Coordinator's Office. So the provision is existing. Only thing, it is a work in progress as of today. It's work in progress because CERT is a statutory body. That means by the Act of Parliament they have been empowered. The NCIPC is a statutory body. RBI is a statutory body. They all are statutory bodies. But the regulators, if they are created under them, they are not having that. So all these regulations and the policies that are created by each of these are coordinated by the National Cybersecurity Coordinator's Office. So the provision exists. Hopefully, we will see that body taking this coordination much faster. As of now, it is interministerial and interdepartmental coordination. So what Mr. Sanjay Das was mentioning, faster, collaboration and coordination and speedier decisions. So this is what possibly the NCSC will hopefully do in future. Okay.
Sir, I just wanted to add one counter to that. So, Rohan, the scenario, there are a couple of frameworks in the world, especially in the healthcare sector, like High Trust. So, High Trust does something similar to what you have said. So, it combines a lot of frameworks, gives you one framework for, let's say, the healthcare world. There are a lot of pros and cons, which, of this kind of approach, because let's just like Naidu sir was pointing out, there are, let's say, different ministries which will require some perspective. Now there will be the regulator which requires certain perspective. Now that automatically means there are certain areas that they will have to look at, which may have overlap. So in the cybersecurity world, just look at prevent, detect, respond, and recover. You cannot entirely segregate those controls. Threat intelligence is preventive, it is detective as well. So you cannot exactly say which is what. So it will be, I would say, if there are both pros and cons of doing it, and currently it is the cost of compliance for every organization to respond. Let's say using the UCF or CCF. For this also, there are a lot of AI assistive tech which brings down the amount of grunt work it takes to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rohan. I hope we have responded to your question and you got the answer that you're looking at. Last question we'll take from Pratap. Pratap, are you there? Then we will wind up. Thank you. Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
Go ahead. Yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much for arranging this session, sir. all speakers were talking in one direction, and the Rajshekhar sir has given a completely different spin to the whole entire topic. Thoroughly enjoyed all the sessions, sir. I don't have a question, but I have one request. Can you arrange a similar session? How quantum technologies are going to impact cybersecurity sometime in near future?
Thank you. We had one. In fact, the quantum mission director of Andhra Pradesh is a scholar. He is a national cybersecurity scholar, Sridhar. He has spoken once. We had a session earlier. We are due, yes, in the present context, we are due to have one more session on the quantum. We have some more scholars also who have been working in this area. There are startups in quantum which are part of our ecosystem. We will do that definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been hearing that quantum is going to defeat the entire cryptography that we have been using on the internet. So
absolutely no doubt. I mean, quantum is something which is going to change things very, very rapidly. There is no doubt in that. We will have that session. Okay. We will do that. Thank you for the session. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, speakers, first of all. Excellent perspectives. And of course, very useful insights. Thank you very much for your time and being present here. Thank you, a large number of participants who have joined from across the world, all over the country, despite different time zones and things like that. It shows how concerned we are about protecting our cyber assets and how we can prepare ourselves for these unknown technologies and outcomes of the technologies that are there. Thank you all very much. Of course, yes, I must thank Dr. Om Prakash once again for the idea of this topic, like what Pratap was mentioning about quantum. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Mukta. Thank you very much, Ganesh. Thank you, Raj. I think he's logged out. So we have different perspectives now available to address the problem that is likely to be on our hand. It's already on our hand. Thank you all. Have a nice weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
sir.
Sunny. Thank you, Raju.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gagan. Good you joined.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Parvez. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Himanshu. Thank you all. We are closing the session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adarsh. Thank you very much. Yatinder, please close the session.